Drivers, start your engines. You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Darryl Jr. I'm welcoming you to take another lap of the extra mile for today, May 21st, 2020. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back to racing in NASCAR. The Cup Series and Xfinity Series got back going at the Darlington Raceway. We are so happy for racing to be back. And before we go any further, I'm going to welcome my co-hosts, Caitlin Seam and Michael Ward.
Hello.
Howdy, howdy.
How's everybody doing this week? It's been an exciting time now that we finally got the races back underway, and we're not talking about what it's going to be like when we get back. We finally got back to racing, and it felt really, really good to finally see cars that are real going around the racetrack.
It's interesting having a surplus of it. 3 races.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it was great, but the stands were. I kept looking at the stands a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
I think that was the most jarring part, is you see the cars going to green and how the grandstands are built at Darlington on the front stretch. They go in from turn 4 down the front stretch, and those turn 4 grandstands are empty, and you're like, right, we're doing this race, yet nobody's there. But once the race actually got started, for me, it kind of felt, like normal. It was a regular
the racing
NASCAR
was good.
race.
The racing was phenomenal.
Yeah. And then we finished the race. Harvick gets out, he does the burnout, gets out the car, and silence. And that's when it kind of hits you again. That's like, oh yeah. We can't have people right now. This is kind of weird, y'all. Caitlin, what did you think?
This is
New reality.
This is reality.
And it's gonna be like this for a while, and there's gonna be a lot of tracks, especially this Sunday with the Coke 600, where I'm gonna be very jealous of Christian Espinosa on Twitter, because he actually lives at the Speedway. And he's going to be one of the few fans in attendance because, he literally lives there. It's his house.
Yes,
but
how is the Speedway his house?
How is the track his house?
Because there are condos outside of Turn 1, or in Turn 1, so people actually live there.
Really?
Yeah, there's a condo building at Turn 1 at Charlotte.
I guess I just always thought that they were...
That's gotta be terrible if you're trying to sleep during a NASCAR race.
Well, you don't
sleep. You gotta
sleep.
sleep. Next thing you know, you hear... You're like, what the hell?
Well, I'm hoping if you move there, you're a racing fan, or this is gonna suck for you.
I mean, no wonder.
Like, there's no way you don't live there and you're not a racing fan, so...
Just imagine signing the lease on your house. Oh, hey, where's this house at? Oh, it overlooks a NASCAR track. How close is it? This close?
The track.
It's literally your house.
The literal track. Oh.
That's pretty dope.
So, how are the noise complaints over there?
You don't get to have noise complaints. Like, you knew this when you got here.
I feel like the challenge would be the non-race stuff. Like, for Christmas, they set up the entire track with lights that you can drive through.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be, one, very visually appealing, but after a while, if you're trying to sleep, and you know what I mean, there's these, like, lights are all blaring, or, like, there's concerts or events and stuff. Like, I feel like for a NASCAR fan, it would be, like, the non-racing events that would be, like, more annoying than the racing events.
Yeah,
I literally didn't know that, though.
Yeah, having the lights blaring at you would probably be annoying, but if you're just there for, like, the race, That's got to be like heaven on earth. Like, you roll out of bed, you open your window, and there's the pomp and circumstance of a race.
Yeah.
Which is going to be
naked.
I mean, yeah, you can watch the race in your jammies, or naked, like you said. I mean,
There's a lot of things you could do while watching a NASCAR race.
I'm just imagining imagining somebody walking onto the balcony, and then a driver just sees him, and he's just like, "What the hell?" and just crashes.
Can I point out that Caitlin held it together for 8 weeks before we got one?
I've been trying so hard. So hard.
Why
8 weeks, Caitlin.
on earth
8 weeks.
you have to whisper that?
She didn't whisper it. She said it full out.
You didn't need ASMR, Caitlin.
I mean, hey guys, racing's back, okay?
Without being too graphic, I would say somebody's done it. Somebody over there has probably done it. And if they say no, they're not telling the truth. But it's going to be really jarring for everybody who lives over there, who is used to, having the thousands of people showing up at what is literally their house. That's not going to be a thing this year. Like, it's just going to be the race teams and the officials and nobody else. And they've already limited how many people they can have in the condos, just in case anybody tries to pull a fast one. But that's going to be really weird for the people that live in those dwellings. And I'm also supremely jealous. So
that'd be a hell of a day, though.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a NASCAR fan.
Yep. So NASCAR did return at Darlington. I think we were all happy to finally have some racing back. And we are going to get into the results. We're just going to talk about, for this first segment, a little bit about the weekend in general. The rain also came back. And it wouldn't be a NASCAR weekend at this point without the weather. So
actually, Darryl.
Huh?
The rain held off on Sunday. Sunday wasn't the issue.
Yeah, Sunday was fine. And then we get to Tuesday, and it's like, oh, we're back. Stupid weather problems. We're definitely back now. And
if it makes you feel any better, it's rain nonstop in Charlotte.
Yeah, because a random tropical storm formed in the Atlantic off the coast of South Carolina. And you cannot convince me that if NASCAR didn't say they were racing at Darlington at this point, that tropical storm forms.
You're probably right, though. Honestly, I don't even think I could argue you on that one.
Look, NASCAR brings rain.
It rains in the desert when NASCAR's there. Like, if you have a drought, just set up a NASCAR race.
Yep. So we get to Tuesday, we don't race. We get to Wednesday, we get a delay. We actually get to race. And then we're going to talk about that in a little bit, everything that happened in that race, which kind of tells you, midweek races, I'm a fan. I could do this every so often during the summer. My only thing would be not to do it like we have to right now, where it's 4-day increments. But what I would do is, have a Sunday, race there, and then instead of racing that next Sunday, you come back and you do the 10-day layoff and race on Wednesday. That way the crews get adequate rest. They get to put the cars together. They don't have to rush. And then the fans that went to the race on Sunday and want to make that trip on Wednesday, because NASCAR fans are a wild bunch of people. We ain't got to tell you all this. But for the first-time listeners, you could hold a NASCAR race in Antarctica. 50,000 people will get to Antarctica to watch that race. I don't know how they got there. I don't know what the airfare or the hotel accommodations will be like, but they will be there in campers. They will be there in campers as well.
And drunk.
And drunk, because somehow they got beer and their campers to Antarctica to watch this race. So, NASCAR fans will make it happen. You just got to give them enough time to actually do it. So I would say, let's do this on a 10-day scale, not like the NFL 4-day scale.
It was very quick.
Yeah. But I mean,
really, the only time you can get away with it though is for this, where like, because Darlington is like a 3-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
So really, like from the hub here. So like, I feel like that's the only time you can really even get away with it is if it's a very localized thing. Yeah. I almost felt like they should do more of an in-pound style, because isn't that what they're doing for Pocono?
What they're doing for what they're doing for all the races right now, basically, is we're not qualifying, we're not racing, or we're not qualifying.
No, I don't mean, right, but I mean like in between races. Like I feel like if you're gonna have Sunday Darlington race, Wednesday Darlington race, it almost should have been like, okay, that's your car, unless it's wrecked, then you can figure it out.
Yeah, they're impounding for Pocono, but I don't even know if they're doing Pocono the same way at this juncture, because
who knows?
they got to talk to Governor Tom Wolf, and everybody in Pennsylvania is already mad about him with how the Selinsgrove situation went down, when, according to the Selinsgrove people, they were ready to race, and then the government pulled the deal for them to race, so everybody got mad, and now everybody's mad at him because he's talking about Pocono can race, but the local tracks have to wait till phase 2. This is all a mess right now because there's no federal guidelines on what the heck we should be doing, so people are just kind of making it up as they go, and it's getting everybody ticked off is basically what's happening here. But I really like this idea, and with the no practice, no qualifying that they did, it really made it so that the drivers that can adapt really had the advantage over the drivers that need those 2 practices to get the car dialed in.
That, and on top of it too, is that all of those engineering degrees are finally getting put into active use.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have 3 practices and a qualifying run and 800 hours in the garage to tweak every little thing to perfection. You're literally having to do it on the fly, which I almost appreciate.
You know what this is doing, right? At the end of this is really going to pave the way for NASCAR to start taking practices away. Which
I think they should.
I mean,
I think we should just do this. Just show up and let's find out.
Well, I would at least like to qualify, but
nah.
I think
they should draw straws.
You know what? I think for the Wednesday night events, and we're going to go to break here in a couple of minutes, but we're going to continue, obviously, to talk about this. No guest this week. We tried to hook up with J.R. Todd, but unfortunately, we just couldn't get it done. We'll try to have him on at a later date, but we will continue.
I am enough of a present today. That's all we needed.
Caitlin is the present that keeps on giving, obviously.
Indeed.
But we want to take a quick break right here just to say thank you to everyone that was a guest during the COVID Red Flag series. I think that went off better than our wildest dreams, to be honest. And everyone from Mike Harmon, Angela Rutch, Robbie Fast, Quinn Houff, and Jeb Burton, Raja Caruth, who was one of the last guests that we had. I think he ended up actually being the last guest in that series. With how
Stingray Rob.
Stingray as well. Oh, no, Stingray was the last one. I'm sorry. Stingray Rob, that was a great interview. And
he was fun.
He's going to be a racing. He's going to be a race engineer one day. Mark my words. He's going to do that. But thank you to everybody that was a part of that. Thank you to Jonathan, a.k.a. the Couch Crew Chief, for getting all those guests together for us. I think we had a lot of fun during this time, just really getting to talk to drivers and learn more about them during this time where there wasn't a lot going on. So thank you again for everybody that joined us for that. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get into the races that happened this week. And also, I'm also going to talk about, my plan for how these races on the midweek should be contested going forward, because I really think we need to go short track Saturday night with all this. So we'll talk about that on the other side. But before that, we got a lot of great shows here on IE Sports Radio and our partner stations. So we're going to play a few of the drops of some of the shows you can hear across IE Sports Radio and all of our great friends here in the podcasting world. And we'll be right back after this.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You got to check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Here comes the pitch, and it comes in wide.
On the BS3 Sports Show.
Welcome to the BS3 Sports Podcast. We hope your experience with us is amazing. Sports talk, comedy, social issues, and more. BS3 is the best source.
Can you dig it?
Hi, I'm Brian McLaughlin. In the National Football League, there are approximately 17 million total fans.
I'm Andrew Guzman. My Dallas Cowboys make up almost 9 million of those fans.
And my Seahawks have a very loyal fan base of around 4 million.
That's more than 3/4 of all the fans.
That's absolutely correct, Andrew. And on the Common Ground Football Podcast, we'll be talking about the good, bad, and the ugly of these teams.
We'll have weekly picks, discuss transactions, injuries.
And we'll chat about the rest of the league, too.
Blake freaking Bortles?
Oh, yes. And Captain Andrew Luck.
Excellent. What about Fitzmagic?
Oh, let's not get carried away now.
Oh, all right then.
Join us each week at commongroundfootballpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcast.
It's going to be
Awesome!
We're back here in the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio. Your feed for all that is sports. And Taryn Rodriguez is joining us in the chat. He is the host of Set Point. You want to check that show out every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. He's got everything you need to know about volleyball. He's had some great guests on the last couple of weeks. Go and check that show out right now on the Spreaker Show Reel, Spotify, and other places where podcasts can be heard. Taryn, thank you for joining us every week. And check out Set Point, everybody. We're back here at the Extra Mile. We're going to continue with the program. And before we do, I was scrolling Twitter during the break, and apparently Chris Pratt had over 35,000 unread emails.
That's nothing. I got, right now on my phone, I have 38,278.
Good night. I only have I have one account. It's like a junk account. where I just send stuff to that used to be my main account. They have like 3,000 in. My regular account has slightly less, but and then I have my Terp Mail account for UMD, which is just a dumping ground for the 55,000 emails they send us a day about stuff I don't care about. So it gets to the point I had to turn that account off on my phone because it brings all day, every day, and it's just useless stuff that I'm not going to use. Like, so Pratt was trying to apparently clear his email and accidentally deleted his entire email account.
Damn.
No more Chris Pratt for you.
So he accidentally deleted over 50,000 emails because he put them all in the trash by mistake.
I mean, I guess it just depends on what kind of email service it is. Like, I feel like you'd be able to, like, recover that, wouldn't you?
You might be able to, but hopefully it wasn't anything too serious. So.
The new Guardians of the Galaxy script.
Oh, I hope he didn't delete that.
Man.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a struggle bus right there. So
That'd be sad right there.
yeah.
It would be.
But yeah, I just say that to say, please clear your emails more regularly, y'all, so that they're not stacking up to an obscene degree. So we're back, and before we get into the race reviews, we were talking about the midweek races. I really think they need to take this short track style where you have the guys come in, and based on owner points, they pull the numbers for heat races. And then they get like a 30-minute hot lap session. You go run the heat races. And then you have an LCQ. And then you take... Let's say you run like a 36-car main. Or let's say you run a 30-car main event. And then all those cars that don't make the main event, they get points based on where they finished in the B main. And then you run a shorter than usual cup race, maybe 200 miles like today, with just the 30 cars that made it into the feature, and make it more like a short track throwback race. You could do this at a Martinsville at night, or a Bristol, or hey, we keep talking about North Wilkesboro. Let's throw some money at Save the Speedway to put that track back going, and have ourselves a Wednesday night short track style event. I think you could do this, but make it special. Kind of like
I'd
what we
fight
did
for
here.
Rockingham before I'd fight for North Wilkesboro.
Honestly,
Just because I remember Rockingham.
Mhm.
I was not around for Wilkesboro.
I like Rockingham.
Right?
I did not.
It was a
I
cool
did not.
track.
I did not like Rockingham.
No? Why not?
I don't know. I could just never get. That was the one track I just never got into as far as the mile and a halves. And I like mile and a halves, but I just never liked Rockingham.
You and NASCAR too, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that's a story for another episode.
Low blow, Caitlin. Low blow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at those.
Well, I mean, with what happened with Kentucky and all that whole legal shenaniganry. That's why we lost Rockingham. Then they brought it back, and then it's gone again, and then someone was trying to develop the site, and then that fell through, so God only knows what's happening with that racetrack. But
nobody has that kind of money anymore.
yeah, but as we said, racing finally came back, and we had 2 races at Darlington. We had two cup races, 1 Xfinity race. We'll start with the cup race on Sunday. The Real Heroes 400. This was an emotional event for all of us, where they have the first responders giving the gentleman starting your engines for the first time in 2 months. We're going racing. You almost wanted to say boogity, boogity, boogity when they went green because it's been so long. And they go off turn 2, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. tries to take it 4 wide, spins off turn 2, hits the wall, and doesn't actually complete a lap.
It was a very Ricky Stenhouse move.
that was the reaction on Twitter where everybody was like, of course it was Ricky. And it's kind of sad.
You or a loved one have been wrecked by the 17 car.
Well, it's the 47 now, Michael.
Yeah, it's not going to change.
And you go back into Ricky Stenhouse's history and remember he got benched by Jack Roush at one point because he wrecked too many race cars. And then you thought it was out of his system in Xfinity. And then he got back to Cup. In the last few years, it's like he's got the yips again. Where he just keeps putting cars in the wall. And he got a feel for JTG, which is a smaller team at JTG Daugherty than he was running at Roush Fenway. He keeps piling up these race cars. And you gotta say, eventually, dude, you gotta be less aggressive. Because you are wrecking race cars. This team really can't afford to replace at the best of times. And it's 2 months since the last time he raced. Everybody's ready to go. And they don't even get to make a pit stop. They just get to watch you go into turn 2 and up. He wrecked it.
See, here's my thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add a little twist to this. I think that Ricky should continue doing it this way because then we can see him out of the sport much sooner.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and I'm pretty sure I'm a chaotic evil. Just letting you know.
I mean,
Pretty
at this
sure.
point, yeah. But
That's an
But then
understatement.
we wouldn't have to deal with it at all. And then somebody else who is much more deserving of that spot can take that spot. What does Ricky Stenhouse Jr. bring to the table other than unwanted cautions?
I mean, he guarantees you at least one non-stage caused caution, I guess.
He guarantees you a restricted plate victory.
If he doesn't take out half the field the way it goes. Because Ricky is either win or half the field is gone.
Or if he takes out half the field and then wins.
Yeah. But then once
Because there's been a few wrecks that he's caused a few big wrecks and been the only car that survives it.
Yep. And he really earned this reputation. I think that was the Darlington race that he ended up winning, where he just wrecked half the field in two big ones. Like, you look at it and it's like, Ricky, please. Ricky, stop.
Oh, Ricky.
Ricky
He's
smash.
He's like the new you, David. Oh, Ricky.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay.
Yeah, that one may have been before my time. But once that got clear, Alex Bowman had one heck of a race. And Hendrick Motorsports as a whole had one heck of a race on Sunday, where at one point they're 1, 2, and 3, and then Jimmy Johnson gets the lead by passing the 24 car of William Byron.
Oh, Jimmy.
And then it feels like it's 2007, and then the last lap of stage 1, Jimmy trying to lap Chris Buescher. He should have just let him go.
He got greedy.
Got into his left rear quarter panel, spins the car off turn 2, and hits the wall. I don't know where the golden horseshoe went, but it is long gone for that guy.
It tarnished.
Yes.
It rusted. It wasn't really gold, and it got rusty.
Yeah.
It hurt me. Like, I'm not even a big Jimmy fan. Like, I respect the guy, like, as a driver. Like, I have much respect for him. But I'm not, like, a fan or anything. And even I cringed. I was just like, oh, man. Like, I felt bad for him. I don't feel bad for many drivers. I felt bad for him. I was just like, damn.
That crash to me just looked weird too.
Yeah.
Just how it looked.
I felt bad because I'm like, he's probably going to have a good chance to win this race.
Yeah, that's how I felt. He dominated stage 1. He really did.
And I'm like, I'm going to feel so good to eat crow on this when I said at the start of this season that Jimmy Johnson's not going to win a race. And
I know. I thought I was going to have to pull out my punishment shirt.
Yeah.
Wait,
and,
you have a shirt for that?
I do. It's a Brad Keselowski shirt.
Uh-oh.
wait, why was that the punishment shirt?
Because I don't like Brad Keselowski.
Ah. Then how did you get this?
And I made my boyfriend wear Joey Logano, so.
Okay.
Who's really the one getting punished here? Not me.
Anyway, enough about punishments and everything like that. Let's continue.
Right. So Jimmy ends
It
up.
had to do with racing. I mean, it wasn't that far off.
Yeah. I mean, it
But
could have been.
Anyway.
It could have been much worse. So Jimmy ends up putting the car in the wall, and you're just sitting there like, poor Jimmy. And then Alex Bowman, he led 48 laps, ends up finishing second in that race. I said this on my new show, Tuesday. Alex Bowman is not a fringe championship contender now. I think he's a guy you've got to talk about to actually make a deep playoff run. He has so much speed compared to the last couple of years. And he's finally starting to show it. Last year was statistically his best season. He's got a chance to even go further than that. You gotta start talking about him as a championship, basically the guy that has a chance to win the championship. He ran really good both races at Darlington. On Wednesday, he ran over the air hose and ended up getting relegated to an 18th place finish, but he ran really good on Sunday.
I feel like it's a little too quick to... I don't know if I'd put it that far. I feel like I need to see a couple more races just because you have one good Darlington race. I don't know.
I'm taking in
crown
all
him
his
just yet.
Well, I'm taking in all his races this year, including, he should have won Las Vegas. He did win Auto Club, and now this race, he's starting to show that he's got some serious speed.
I think that he's done very well for being the underdog of Hendrick.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know he's not the favorite or even the second favorite there.
I thought William Byron was the underdog.
No, they like him more than they like Bowman.
Oh, shows what I know.
That's my prediction. Here's my mental ranking of Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Elliott is Jesus 2.0 to NASCAR Nation. William Byron is this little engine that could. Everybody likes Thomas the Tank or whatever his name is. That's him. And then you got Alex. Jeff Gordon's just kind of the godfather. Or Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. And then Jeff Gordon's the guy that's going to be running the place after Rick decides to call it a career.
Very literally, yes.
Yeah. And that's not us just saying that. Rick Hendrick literally said that in an interview that Gordon's
Well, he already
over the
owns
team.
part of it.
Yeah, and Rick said, yeah, Jeff's taking over the rest of it when I retire. So
Right, because he actually owns the entirety of the 48, I believe.
Yeah, he actually owned
right?
the 40. Yeah, he owned the 48 from when Jimmy first came in.
Started, yeah.
So
this has been in the works for a while.
Yeah,
I think it's going to happen soon. I feel like we could see that transition happen in the next couple of years, honestly.
Yeah, we could, which is fine, because it'll keep Hendrick Motorsports going. I know it would probably be Ricky, but unfortunately we lost Ricky and a whole lot of other Hendrick staff in the plane crash about 10 years ago. Or, no, it's been longer than 10 years now. It's been a while.
It's been like 20.
Yeah.
I think we were teenagers.
Definitely, because I was in high school when it happened. So
maybe not 20. I'm not that old. Because God, okay, Caitlin. 15?
Around there. It's getting there. But, you lost Ricky and everybody. If there was someone other than Ricky that you could say was like a son to Rick Hendrick, it'd be Jeff Gordon. So, yeah, eventually he's going to take that team over. And we'll see what happens from there. But Kevin Harvick leads 159 laps of this race.
He was gone.
He dominated this event. And Harvick's already...
Race?
Huh?
Is it the second half of that race?
Yeah, second half of that race is just all Kevin Harvick, and he's already a Hall of Famer at this point. He's just building the resume to when he gets that first ballot Hall of Fame nomination, because he got thrust into the spotlight way too early when Senior passed away, and he's just taken that and ran with it. Ran great at RCR, switched over to Stewart-Haas Racing, and still to be this deep into his career, because we've seen drivers get to their 40s and all of a sudden they fall off a cliff. Shout out to Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. But
and
Kevin,
Dale Jr.
And yeah, well,
what about Tony Stewart?
Tony didn't have as bad as a fall off, but that 2011 season was definitely lightning in the bottle, and he never really got that high. And then the incident with him at the short track happened, and that really set things down the path where he's like, I gotta get out of this. But
yeah,
there's a lot of drivers you could put there where they were good and then just nosedived when they hit 40. Harvick is in his mid-40s and still getting it done. Like, he is still a guy that is considered a Final Four almost shoo-in every season at this age. He got his 50th career win. He got a win at Darlington. Yes, it's not the Southern 500, but this is a weird season, so for
He's
him
kind of like the Tom Brady of NASCAR.
Basically. And I see him at this point as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just with everything he's done. I think he gets in on the first ballot.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, I wouldn't want to tell the guy no, so...
And honestly, I think there's...
That's a lie. I wouldn't want to tell his wife no, so...
Yeah. I mean, there's two Hall of Famers other than... Let me preface by saying, there's two Hall of Famers not named Jimmy Johnson right now on the grid. One is Kevin Harvick, and I think Denny Hamlin as well is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Denny Hamlin?
I think Hamlin's going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's won 3 Daytona 500s. He's won a multitude of races already. Like, you got to start putting him in that conversation, I think.
I think Kyle Busch will make it.
Okay, I can see
yeah,
that.
Kyle is... I forgot about Kyle.
The only counter argument for you I had was he hasn't won a championship, but I think you don't really need to win a championship to. I mean,
Martin got in without it.
I'm gonna say that I think that Kyle Busch will end up in the Hall of Fame before Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, and let me correct that. There's 3 because I forgot about Kyle, but yeah, Kyle's the first ballot, I think. With all the wins he's got through the 3 series.
And it's wins across the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me there's 3, because I forgot about Kyle. But, and Lord, did that guy have himself a week. It's Kyle, Denny, and Kevin. Those are your 3 can't-miss Hall of Famers that are not named Jimmy Johnson. And then we can have a conversation about others. I don't think Brad gets in. I don't think Joey gets in. Clint, maybe. But
yeah.
I don't really... There's really nobody else that sticks out other than, those 3 guys. So
I would vote for Martin Truex Jr.
I don't know. Maybe... I think he's got to win another championship.
I don't think he'd be first ballot. I think he'd be second.
I think it'd be more than second for Martin, but...
Don't hurt my feelings that much.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying.
He has had a roller coaster of a career. Just to end up on Hall of Fame, I think that'd be great.
It would. So
he's had... If there was ever an underdog or Hall of Famer, it would be Martin Truex Jr. Can we at least agree on that one?
He would definitely be in the underdog wing with everything he went through. I will agree with that.
Poor guy.
So the top 5 from the Real Heroes 400 are Kevin Harvick, Alex Bowman, Kurt Busch. Yes, Kurt Busch finished 3rd in this race. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin round out the top 5.
Truex was 6th.
Yes, he was. And Truex had a terrible start to that race, and also had a terrible start on Wednesday in the Toyota 500.
He's very not good at starts. He's very good at long runs.
And
Starts suck. Also, that inside row is the most evil piece of poop ever.
The inside row at Darlington, you're right, just does not function on a restart.
Not nice.
And I have no idea. And people started bringing up, they need to bring the choose cone back. No, just deal with it. Y'all are professional. Just deal with it. Like,
then we would have nothing to complain about. And what is the fun in that?
True.
I feel like 50% of being a race fan, or a sports fan in general, is the enjoyment of complaining.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
We complain.
Maybe
about
it's
a lot.
also for the fact that none of the teams that I ever am a fan of are like top, always winning teams, and so I'm really used to like getting my ass kicked. So that could be part of it too. Maybe I'm just that kind of fan.
Yeah, but when Martin Truex Jr. won the championship, there were a lot of long run races, and he is really good at the long runs. Like, he can save his tires like nobody's business. Can't get it going on the short runs, though. And Wednesday we had, and Sunday we had short runs. Wednesday we definitely had short runs, all the cautions we had out there. But for him to fight back in that final stage where we had the longest run of the night and battle back for a top 10, it shows that that car has speed. They just need enough time to, get to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But what everybody is talking about from the Wednesday race, final restart, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Chase roars by for second, Kyle tries to get back up in line so Harvick doesn't go by him, goes up too early and spins Chase into the inside wall. And NASCAR Twitter immolated itself instantly.
I will say that if there would have been a recording of me when that happened at my house last night, it would have been a very Maleficent or evil queen laugh. I was so thoroughly amused, which I feel like doesn't qualify. Everybody else was livid, and I think that's why I found it so funny, is because it happened to Chase Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's what makes it the funniest, because he is NASCAR's Jesus. Let's be honest. Anything ever happens to precious baby Chase Elliott and NASCAR Nation, it's just like Junior. Lose your mind.
It has become like Junior for Chase, with all the positives and negatives that are associated with that. But we know he can win races. He does not have a lot of luck at the end of these deals right now. So this was one of those ones. And then during the red flag, the 9 crew walks down there to the box, and they're sitting amongst the 18 crew, and I'm like, okay, y'all, please do not get the sport in trouble for not social distancing by beating the crap out of each other on pit lane. Please don't do this.
I mean, they got to work on social distancing. Again, men don't actually know the true length of things, so we need to work on that. But
ouch. I knew where you were going with that. Ouch.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the one picture from, we talked about the spotter picture, since you bring that up. That was actually, from what it was, a bad angle, because Hannah Newhouse did put up a video, and they were properly spaced out 6 feet.
Well, that's not actually the case. They got together during the caution, and they didn't separate right away. NASCAR actually yelled at them for that and made them separate.
So
yeah,
it was because during the caution
they
did. Yeah, because they were under caution, they did clump together.
Yeah,
NASCAR
and that's
was
when
they
they
spread out.
Yeah, so they did, and NASCAR got on them. What they did then they separated. They were good boys after that, but
Yeah, I mean NASCAR can't afford to play around like this because they have to show we can do this so they can get the rest of the season through. And
well, and here's the thing is, and it's not only NASCAR, and I had talked about this even on my show, is like here's the thing, and I nitpicked it. When I watched them, I nitpicked it. And then here is why, though, is because with stuff like this, for the situation we're in, literally all of Sports Nation is watching NASCAR under a microscope right now.
They really are.
Because they literally, every sport rides on this right now. And so when the social distancing thing is having to get worked out, I saluted them. For the most part, they're doing great on the masks. We got to figure this whole victory lane thing out because Harvick did it and then Chase did it today, Chase Briscoe, where they got interviewed. They're talking into a mic, but the problem is these mics get reused. So that's the issue we're coming across. So I think if they can clean this up a little bit, they'll be all right. Minus that social distancing part. But they've done pretty good. NASCAR is pretty good about jumping on the gun when something happens. Because you notice during the wreck with Chase Elliott, when he was waiting for Kyle Busch, he kept trying to take his helmet off, and that safety dude was like, nope. Like every time he tugged on that helmet, that safety crew dude stopped him.
Yeah.
Like he was like, can't do it, man, can't do it. So, but that's the thing. Yeah. Minus the social distancing.
They got to get the masks. They have to get the masks before they get out of the car, I think is the thing.
Yeah. I don't know. We need to have a mask pocket inside the car somewhere, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Can we talk about the mask from the winner yesterday? Because I did appreciate it.
Yes, I want to talk about the mask. I want to talk about... Because Denny Hamlin ended up winning the race, by the way, on Wednesday.
Under rain.
Didn't hear. It ended up getting rained at 208 of the 294 laps. And it's a miracle we got the races. And God bless Air Titans. And I hope the guy that came up with them is rich. Rich, by the way. But Denny Hamlin's smile mask.
Oh,
he said he was happy.
I love it.
I loved the crazy face he made, because he made his eyes all bug-eyed and held his thumbs up, and I was so amused. I thought it was perfect. To me, I was this is the moment that I was hoping for. Those are the kind of positivity moments you need in all of this that help.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed the happy mask quite a bit. I had a good chuckle.
I think the best part of it was Mike Joy sees it, and then Mike Joy trying to be all professional, and just loses it. The minute he sees the mask, he just loses it.
They don't even know. I thought here's the funny part is so many crazy things happen that Mike Joy I feel like it's when I go off a lot and then you kind of lose me for a second and you try to figure out where to rein it back in. Because if you think about it, you have the Chase Elliott flipping off the bird that happened on national TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the rain, under caution, they park them. Then you have Denny Hamlin with this crazy mask on. And then when they're done with him, they swing it over to Kyle Busch, who's talking with Chase Elliott's crew chief, who was his former crew chief.
Yep.
And he drops the F-bomb while he's talking to him because this camera crew is peeping Tom on this conversation. And then they drop the F-bomb on national TV and Mike Joy was I love how lost he was. He was just well, he just didn't know what to do.
Those last 20 minutes just made all of this worth it.
Oh, it was so funny.
Because you got the middle finger, you get the middle finger, you get the mask, and the one thing that hasn't been talked about, one of the crew guys for the 9 is standing back there during one of the interviews, and he's got the Carl Edward arms going. He's got his arms crossed over his chest with the black T-shirt on. He's got the tattoos on the gun show back there. And I'm what is happening right now? Is this Darlington, or did we suddenly get transported to South Boston?
We might have. It was amusing.
Those last 20 minutes of that race were wild.
I just like that. Like, they lose the track when it rains, and Mike Joy's just like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I can just see him. I, like, so easily could have pictured him in the studio, like, looking around at the nobody there with him, being like, I don't know what to say now. Yeah. What do I... Because with the word, he was like, oh man, I'm sorry you guys had to, we're sorry it's live TV, whatever. And then he tries to stay together with the mask. And then when Kyle Busch swears, he's just like, well, I'm just like.
Good on Hepner, Arlene, who runs the Fox broadcast, NASCAR Fox broadcast, for staying with the shot of Chase Elliott giving the middle finger.
It was very vintage NASCAR. I appreciated the moment.
I love that so much. And apparently the Chase Elliott store on Twitter said that if they got 1,000, it was either retweets or likes, they were going to make a shirt. Well, they blew through that, so there's going to be a shirt of Chase giving the finger. I might have to buy that shirt and post it on the iSports Radio Twitter when it gets here, because I have to see what this thing is going to look like. And everybody got reminded of when Will Power threw up the double guns at New Hampshire.
Really, I feel like we should be thanking Kyle Busch for the new iconic image of Chase Elliott that we now have for t-shirts.
Yes. And for getting NASCAR like 1 million new hits, because that did that as well.
Also, I do want to point out really quick about the Kyle Busch thing that I find funny is that in the final interview, really, reporters are so good at poking things to death, but they were after the conversation that he had with the crew chief, and he's like leaving, and the reporter's interviewing him. And, like, literally, he's like, it's my fault, which I appreciate. I appreciate that Kyle Busch admitted. He was like, it's my fault. I own up to it. I know that what I did was wrong. And he explained it. But what I thought's funny is that the reporter was like, well, do you think that, the 9, are they going to, have they forgiven you or whatever? And he's like, you could go ask them. And he was like, of course you're not over it. He's like, you can't just buy ice cream and apologize and that makes it okay or whatever. Well, the funny thing about that is that in it was 2017 or 18, I think it was 17, but he ended up in one of the races blatantly wrecking out Martin Truex Jr. when he was with Furniture Row Racing. And that's exactly what he did. He bought apology ice cream for the Furniture Row crew. He literally got an ice cream truck for them to apologize. So it's just kind of funny that he brought up ice cream again. Because even Cole Pern mentioned it on Twitter. He's like, this guy has a thing for ice cream apologies.
Cole Pern has been a national treasure since he retired.
He is a blessing, and he is my favorite Canadian. Don't tell my Canadian family I said that.
He's been a blessing to Twitter ever since. And before we go, because we're running out of time, we got to get into the Xfinity race. That was a good race today. That was a really good Xfinity Series race. And
I will say the last 5 laps of that race, honestly, I felt like were the best 5 laps of all 3 races.
It was the best finish of the weekend with Chase Briscoe and everything that his family is going through, and we will talk about that. Everything his family is going through, and he's got the sport's best, even though y'all already know how I feel about Cup drivers in the lower series. We're not going to get into that. He fought Kyle Busch tooth and nail for that win, and he held on to it, and he gets out the car and he's already crying, and you just want to give the guy a hug, because unfortunately on Tuesday he got the worst news of his life when he and his wife found out the tragic news that they lost their daughter, and they were at his wife was at the ultrasound, and they were trying to find the heartbeat. The first doctor couldn't find it. They brought in 2 other doctors. Could not find the heartbeat. And unfortunately, they lost the child. And the toughest part of that story to me is the fact that Chase wasn't even there. Chase had to be in Darlington to race that evening, in a race that ends up getting rained out. So at best, he finds out by phone call, and he can't even be there for his wife. And I'm kind of tearing up here a little bit. I just can't even fathom what was going through his mind the last couple of days. Then to go and get that win had to feel so sweet for him, his wife, and that little baby girl that he's never going to get to see. It's emotional, but thank God he won that race and didn't finish second. I think that's the way I'll say it.
I want to say, I feel like in that moment, I think literally all, I'm not even going to say NASCAR fans, because I'm sure other people watching it tonight weren't, but I want to say probably 99% of all viewers were literally cheering their hearts out for that kid today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, to me, there's just, and here's the thing is, and I know people are going to be frustrated because, excluding the issue with Kyle Busch even being in the race, but he raced the hell out of that kid. And, like, at first, like, I can see a lot of people getting upset about that, but, like, to me, if you think about it, for those laps, Chase was 100% focused on winning that race.
Mm-hmm.
He had a moment's reprieve to focus on something, because it's going to, that kind of tragedy is not going to just leave. And so he's focusing and fighting, and he's fighting in a way he can fight, because you can't fight from the tragedy that happened, but he can fight on the track, though. And I think that's what we saw, as I think that he was taking all of that grief and he was fighting.
Mm.
And I almost appreciate that. And the thing is, it almost is really an apt thing that those two are the ones who duked it out at the end anyway, for the fact that Kyle Busch has also experienced that same tragedy.
Yep.
So, I'm so excited he won, but I really like how he had to win, to be honest. Like, I like that he had to fight, and he had to put all of his everything and his emotion into this win. To me, I think that it's such a representative of what you have to do to carry on in life. It's not a cruise. It's not easy. A lot of bad things happen, and you have to fight. And he had to fight for this win. And so, to me, I don't know. I was really touched by that he had to fight for this win, and then he got out, and then I got teary-eyed when I saw him, because you could feel it. And so, everything I have goes out to that family, to him and his wife, and it's a story. For sure.
And I jumped on Marissa Briscoe's Twitter here, and I just saw this tweet from, April 21st, and they announced that their daughter was on the way, and they had, Chase's Ford Raptor, and they had a Mini Raptor, all ready for baby B. So they had daddy-daughter matching trucks, and I don't even know what they're going through right now. So I say congratulations to Chase and Marissa and everyone over the Briscoe family. You're probably not going to hear this, but we are praying for you, and I know it hurts, and we are sending our deepest sympathies to everyone over there. And before we leave, previous guest on the show, Bailey Curry, had a interesting race where he didn't have brakes for the entirety of the event. According to him, to the tweet that he made here, they lost the brakes on lap 1. He goes on to explain that he had a little bit of the rear brakes, but he basically had to pump the pedal to get the front brakes to work at all. So
he's saying a lot of prayers during pit stops.
I think he has to be saying a lot of prayers every corner, because it's Darlington, where you run against the wall anyway, and you don't have brakes. That's terrifying.
But at least you have a wall.
Yeah, but Caitlin, the wall's not fun to hit when you have no brakes.
But it's the Darlington stripe. You're just striping the whole way. I'm sure his underwear were striped too.
Oh, I bet they were.
He did very well. I mean, he finished not last, which I feel like is a very big win when you don't have brakes. Honestly, I just feel like I'd be a little more concerned for pit stops, though. Like, what are you gonna hope that the car in front of you stops you? Like,
I mean, it was...
Pit crew, I do not want to run you over, I promise.
Yeah, that had to be rough.
But he did it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say good on to Mr. Curry for getting that done, because that had to be a rough one. And we want to give a shout out to everybody over there at Mike Harmon Racing as they got through this weekend. And we pack it all up and we get ready to go to Charlotte starting this Sunday with the Coca-Cola 600. And of course, before we get out of here, we got to start making picks for Nearest the Win. So, Michael, who you got? And remember, whoever you pick this week, you got to ride with for the entirety of the races.
I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. No special reason. I'm just going with Kevin Harvick.
I think I'm going to go with the guy that has dominated this race not too long ago, Mr. Stage winner MTJ.
Yeah, I mean, that's who I was going to pick, so I guess I'm following your suit. But he holds the record for the most laps led at Charlotte for the Coke 600. The most beautiful race ever there, let's be honest. So yes, MTJ for the win. We're going to have some long runs here. Kalen hopes get his groove back. Boyo needs more than a top 10. He needs a W or two.
Yep. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. If you want to play Nearest the Win, remember, all you got to do is tweet Nearest the Win with who you're picking for this week's upcoming races in Charlotte. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here for this evening. Remember, if you've missed any episode of any iSports Radio show, check out iTunes, the Spreaker Show Reel, and other places where podcasts can be heard. Check out Caitlin's show, Not What It Seems. Check out my new show on WBGR Sports 2 Wide Tuesday. We talk everything NASCAR and local dirt track racing in the state of Maryland. That show's got 2 episodes. You can go back and watch those on the WBGR Sports Facebook page. Check out the website, iesportsradio.com, and check out the social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And with that being said, for this week's episode of The Extra Mile, it's time for us to say goodbye. So for Caitlin and Michael, I'm Darryl. This has been The Extra Mile. We will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody. And stop hoarding the toilet paper.